the MMA Insiders on ESPN Radio 1100 and 98.9 FM.
All right, back here, 622. It's ESPN Radio 1100, 98.9 FM. The MMA Insiders, our brand new MMA show. Been around for about a month now, and we're on the road at PT's, 215 in Buffalo. Stop in. You can hear the show, grab the pizza or some drinks for half price. 4 locations showing UFC 131 tomorrow. Got this spot, 215 in Buffalo, Spring Mountain in Arville, Stewart and Nellis, and Sunset and Pecos. Let's go up to Vancouver. The weigh-in went down today, the press conference yesterday. Tomorrow, what is it, Rogers Arena, right? Everything up there is Rogers. Tomorrow at Rogers Arena, our man on the scene will be Kevin IOLE, our buddy from Yahoo, who co-hosts the show as well. Kevin, how you doing? It's Adam and Cofield.
Hi, guys. Doing great. It's a pretty wild atmosphere up here today. It's kind of neat to be walking around town and seeing this.
Because of the hockey, right?
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I wrote a story. I don't know if you guys caught it because it got posted after the weigh-in, but last year, I was sitting next to Dana White during the pre-fight press conference scrum that we do after the thing is over, and Dana White was asked, do you think someday the UFC will get as big as hockey? And Dana just shrieked. He said, hockey! And, kind of like intimating that it was already bigger than hockey. Well, this week he's been, kind of humbled a little bit. It's kind of funny. He was asked about the wisdom of putting the UFC in Vancouver when the Canucks are in the Stanley Cup Finals. And he basically said, hey, I'm used to playing, I don't care about playing second fiddle to the Stanley Cup Finals in Vancouver. I've been 90th fiddle before, so second fiddle is fine this week.
I think it's been overplayed a little bit, too. And Adam can chime in on this, because we were talking about this off the air. Some of the ticket sale stuff, there's some tickets available up on StubHub, and the event's not sold out. I mean, a couple of disclaimers here. The building is big, first of all, and I don't know that once you sell a place out that sets the standard. People act like, if they sell 13.5, if it doesn't sell out instantly, it's some sort of failure. It's still a big event.
It is a big event, and here's a couple things. Number one, people who think that they shouldn't have put it here because of the Stanley Cup Finals. When's the last time the Canucks were in the Stanley Cup Finals? It was 17 years ago, and they have to book these obviously way in advance, so they didn't know. So that's number one. Number two, in talking to Tom Wright, the head of the Canadian operations for the UFC, he said the arena tomorrow, which last year was known as GM Place, is going to seat about 14 to 15,000. A little less than 15, a little more than 14. They're expecting ticket sales to be between 13 and 14. So really, not too bad at all. I mean, they're going to be very close to a sellout, have a better crowd than they had at UFC 130. My guess is that there'll be a similar gate, so I'm not sure exactly what the problem is. The top ticket price here is $685 Canadian.
How many fighters placated to the fans today and wore Canucks jerseys to weigh-ins?
Well, it started right at the beginning. Joe Rogan had a Canucks T-shirt on, so I was kind of curious if Dana White would do it, but he did not. He was neutral. But Kenny Florian, you got to give him credit. Florian came out with a Scott Thornton Bruins jersey on, and Diego Nunes, who I don't think ever heard of hockey until this week, ended up with a Canucks jersey. So that was something. I got the CBC broadcast on here in my hotel room, and they actually, in between periods, showed Florian and Nunes weighing in. And they kind of ripped Diego Nunes for throwing the Canucks jersey on the ground as he went to step on the scale.
What's he supposed to do? Fold it up neatly? I mean, take it easy, fellas.
It's not a flag.
Well, that's what Florian did, actually. Florian folded it and handed it to his brother Keith, and they noted that. They said, Kenny Florian understands that a hockey logo is never supposed to touch the floor.
Actually, Adam had a good line. He said it's not a flag.
Yeah.
But I guess it's hockey in Canada, so it is like a flag.
No doubt.
I didn't know that. You can't just throw the sweater on the floor?
If you walk in the locker room, and a lot of the NHL teams have the logo on the carpet, and you walk on the logo, the players will actually yell at you. So reporters who have never covered hockey before will walk across the locker room. They'll just cut across the middle. I was in Chicago a while ago, and I was doing a Blackhawks column, and somebody stepped on the Indian Head logo that they have, and boy, he got shouted down, and that happens all over the place.
Kevin Iole with us. It's the MMA Insiders. He's up in Vancouver getting ready for UFC 131. So JDS and Shane Carwin, Junior Dos Santos, and Carwin going at it. How did Carwin look on the scale today? 255, big difference?
He looked 254. Seeing him this week, I didn't think that he would look as big as he did today. Just looking at him with his clothes on and everything, he looked like he was maybe slighter than he had been before. But I'll tell you what, he is a big man, and when he took his shirt off to get on the scale at the weigh-in, you could see, his, even though he's 10 pounds less than he was last time we saw him fight, he is still massive. Very big through the chest and shoulders, and he looked great, and but so did Dos Santos. So they both look pretty good. Dos Santos came in at 239, and Carwin at 254.
I like JDS in the fight because I think he's going to fight a smart fight, move in, move out. I don't think Carwin is going to use his wrestling enough. Adam really thinks there's a lot of value on Shane Carwin, that he's going to use a mixed game plan, and that JDS is making a big mistake if he stands in front of him. What do you think?
I'm with Adam. I think, it's anybody's fight. Let's be honest. They're both elite guys. But I like Carwin, for the reason that he has more ways to win the fight. He's got the better knockout power. He's got the wrestling, so get him down, and he can do what Mark Munoz talked about, do the whack-a-mole if he gets him on the ground, and with those big hammer fists he has, it's going to cause a lot of damage. I think he's in better shape than he was last year. I think the nutrition program will give him a little bit more stamina. I don't think he's ever going to be one of these guys who can go and go and go and go, but I think he's certainly going to be better than he was last year. The layoff I don't think affects either guy. I agree with Adam. I'm on Carwin.
It's Kevin Iole from Yahoo, one of our MMA insiders. He hosts the show just about every week. Adam Hill is helping us out this week from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Kevin's on the road in Vancouver getting ready for UFC 131. I'm Steve Cofield. The other fight, well, we have a couple of fights we want to mention, but one of them I think is really intriguing because it could set up a new pecking order at 145, but it all depends on the fact that Kenny Florian drops to this weight and can do it comfortably. How did he look on the scale today?
Not good. His chest, you could basically see his bones sticking out. I just can't see, if he ever fought for a title. He weighed 146 today, Steve. And if he had to drop that extra pound and get to 145, Lord, I don't know where it's coming from. He just didn't look very good. He's a fairly tall guy for that weight, and to have to cut to 146, it was just painful to watch him. I saw him probably about 9 o'clock this morning, and he was doing his weight cut. He was walking through the city, and he didn't look all that happy as I saw him, and just nodded at him in the morning. But boy, oh boy, on the scale, he just was skin and bones there.
You think he's ripe for the upset against Diego Nunes?
The thing is, it's going to be interesting to see how he rehydrates. I still do like Florian in the fight because I think he's such a smart guy that I think he planned this all out and knew how far he could push himself. And I think Florian is one of those elite guys that unless you have really, really good wrestling or you're like a top 5 guy in the world, he's probably going to beat you. I think Nunes is a good fighter. A lot of people don't know him, but he's got some dynamic striking. But I think this is the kind of guy that Florian can handle, and assuming that he has done the weight correctly, I like him in the fight.
I find the Damian Maia-Mark Munoz fight completely intriguing. Maia, a few fights ago, back at UFC 95, fought an elite wrestler, really good MMA fighter who got better after that in Chael Sonnen. But he destroyed him. He threw over his head, subbed him. I think Munoz has the smarts behind him to not make the same mistakes, but he keeps talking about the fact that, hey, I'm going to go down on the ground if I need to with Damian Maia, and I don't know, it's a scary proposition.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. The other day, talking to Mark Munoz, who is one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet in sports, and at first I thought he was joking around when he said that he wanted to go to the ground, and he said he wanted to go to the ground, not that he was, willing to do it. He was saying he wanted to, and then he's been working on his jiu-jitsu, and then he thought that, he would be able to compete with Demian Maia down there, and I'm thinking to myself, boy, that is a huge, huge, huge mistake. Mark Munoz has almost every advantage in the fight, and the only spot that he wouldn't have the advantage would be grappling on the ground with Demian Maia. Why do that?
You want to see the next big UFC card? PT's Pub is the spot. 4 locations show each and every UFC card. PT's at Buffalo and 215, Sunset and Pecos, Stewart and Nellis, and the PT's at Spring Mountain and Arville. ESPN Radio 1100, 98.9 FM starts off each fight weekend with our live MMA show, the MMA Insiders. On the Friday before UFC pay-per-views, we'll be down there from 6 to 7. Come down, get half off all the drinks and half off the awesome PT's Pizza. This week, we're at the PT's at 215 in Buffalo. So mark it down. PT's is your spot to check out all the exciting UFC action.